Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdés, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdés.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdés, Valdés with an S, at Rich Valdés on all of the social media. Welcome to the, what's tonight? Tuesday night edition of the program. We are live and national. Happy to be here. Truly a blessing. 833-4825-337-833-4-Valdés. And tonight we're getting into a bunch of stuff. We got a congressman that says Zoran Mamdani should get deported. Then we move on. And we go in a different direction with, Asra Nomani, who is now pulling the curtain back on the Red-Green Alliance. And she's talking about this stuff that she found out about Zoran Mamdani, who's really paying for all of this stuff. Is it a grassroots campaign or is it more billionaires? And, you know, you would think a guy who thinks Bernie Sanders is the best candidate ever, you know, the billionaires, right? That's Bernard Sanders. He wouldn't want the billionaires, but it seems like it's the billionaires. And then things are getting tight in New York in the mayor's race. Things are getting tight in New Jersey. And now you've got the candidate suing. The Democrat candidate in New Jersey is suing or taking legal action, I should say, against the Republican candidate and TV stations for playing an ad that makes her look bad. Unbelievable. So we're going to get into all of that stuff tonight. Make sure you're here for all 3 hours of the program. 833-4825-337-833-4-Valdés. And what do I start with? I guess I want to start with Speaker Johnson today, laying it out that Democrats are just using Marxist fear-mongering to continue the shutdown.
This is some of the things that they would propose that we spend money on again. They're demanding, this is a ransom to reopen the government. Things like $4 million for global LGBTQI plus awareness campaigns around the world. $4 million for the LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Balkans. They want $2 million for feminist democratic principles projects in Africa. We're not doing that. But again, the question is why? Why? This sounds crazy. It is. Why would they do this? And what we saw on vivid display over the weekend was the re-emphasis of this fact. This is motivated purely out of fear. And what do we mean by that? You saw the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, endorse Zoran Mamdani for mayor of New York City on Friday. It was an illustration of what we're facing here. The Democrats right now fear the far left activists more than they fear air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, American service members, and so many others missing their paychecks. They fear the Marxist insurgents like Mamdani more than they fear families and children going hungry from lapsed benefits that keep food on their tables. They simply fear losing their own political positions next November if they don't appease the angry far-left base right now. And they will appease that base at any cost, no matter how much pain is inflicted.
How much pain is inflicted. And, you know, this is the sad part, that you've got Democrats that are willing to put people at risk, right? And I guess there's a number of people out there that believe that Democrats are doing the right thing. And they're saying, look, this is the leverage we have. We're going to use the American people as leverage. And if Republicans really care about the people, they won't let us hurt them. But at some point, people are going to say, hold on a second, Democrats, why are you hurting us to make a political point? And I think that point might come sooner rather than later. Now, speaking of points, we hit a new point today in the ceasefire, which is no longer ceased. Hamas shot at IDF soldiers in Gaza, and now it's about to go down. I'll keep you posted on all of that stuff, but I think it's going to get brutal. Hopefully this is just, again, another flash in the pan, another skirmish, another break it up, let's keep moving towards peace type of thing. But it seems like it's an escalation beyond, them shooting each other, right, and shooting their own internal enemies. Now they're shooting at the IDF. And I could only imagine if these were U.S. troops getting shot at, of course, they're going to return fire and, respond in kind. So that's concerning. I would say it's concerning, but we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. I guess I'll take the break right here.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
Well, thank you, Rich, and thank you for everything. I know you very well, and I listen, but I have a lot of people that listen, and they love your show, and I appreciate it very much.
America at Night with Rich Valdés.
Breaking now. The New York City mayoral race just got a whole lot wilder. Imagine running for the city's top job, only to find out the first legal battle you might fight is for your own citizenship. That's exactly what's happening to Zoran Mamdani, the current frontrunner in the race to become NYC's next mayor. Here's the scoop. Two House Republicans, Randy Fine from Florida and Andy Ogles from Tennessee, are demanding the Department of Justice investigate how Mamdani became a U.S. citizen back in 2018. Their goal? Strip him of his citizenship and even deport him. Yeah, you heard that right. Deport the guy who might run the biggest city in America. So what's got them so fired up? It all centers on Mamdani's application for citizenship. The accusation is that he failed to disclose membership in the Democratic Socialists of America, an organization Representative Ogles is calling communist. Under U.S. immigration law, being a member of a communist or totalitarian party can actually disqualify you from becoming a citizen. Ogles claims that Mamdani's omission amounts to fraud. And he didn't stop there. He called Mamdani an anti-Semitic, socialist, communist who will destroy the great city of New York.
So this is a big deal. Is Mamdani going to get deported? Man, I don't know, from her lips to God's ears. But let's find out from the congressman that referred this for further investigation, Congressman Andy Ogles from Tennessee's 5th District. Welcome, sir.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Yeah, I mean, what a crazy ride New York's having right now.
Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. Maybe you're the silver lining, right? Maybe these referrals go somewhere and this guy gets out of the race. But this is pretty wild stuff. Now, I remember there was a lot of hype about and concern, legitimate concern over the United States Communist Party candidate a million years ago, Gus Hall, and his then campaign manager, John Brennan, who went on to become director of our CIA. And this was a huge deal, but it happened. And now we have somebody who just became a citizen in 2018 that didn't disclose these things. How confident are you that they're not going to say, well, they could go with whatever party they like as long as, they don't try to overthrow the government?
Well, to be determined, but, I'm on the Financial Services Committee, which is the banking, the stock market, largely the economy committee, and then also Homeland Security. And when you look at the city of New York, it's the financial epicenter of our country because of its international status and really clout in the global economy. There's a lot of also anti-terrorism capabilities that the city has. All of that will now be at the fingertips of a man who is a Marxist, who is, essentially, in my opinion, hates the United States of America. And so he's a radical Muslim sympathizer. He's talking about giving everything away for free, essentially, and then taxing the rich. Well, that works until all the rich move to Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. And suddenly, there was that movie a long time ago, Escape from New York, and I think that hellscape could literally play out if this guy succeeds. Now, that being said, we have to get back to the fact of the matter. Is he a legitimate citizen? And I would argue that, the N-400 form states that if you materially omit anything, of any of the questions, that you in turn will have, attained your citizenship fraudulently. And so Part 9, Section 5A specifically asks about your affiliations with communist or totalitarian organizations, and he lied. He omitted those facts. And again, it clearly states any willful misrepresentation, concealment of material makes it an illegally procured citizenship. So that's why back in June, I referred this. We conducted an investigation. We sent it to DOJ. Literally, the clock is ticking. The election's next week. So we have resent a letter inquiring again about the status of this because, look, he should not be a U.S. citizen. And as we look over the last few years, our country's been invaded by people that don't love this country. They don't want to assimilate into our country. Get the hell out. We get to decide who comes in. We also get to decide who has to leave. And I think Mamdani has to go.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to argue this point with you. And I'm not saying that, our political opponents have to be deported. That would be kind of crazy. But I think in a situation like this, these are some pretty extreme positions. And I think the argument you're making is a very fair one, right? This is not saying, hey, I don't like what he's saying, he's got to go. This is saying he applied to be a citizen kind of under false pretenses. And there's kind of a pattern here because he also applied to go to Columbia University and said he was black, African American. And I guess maybe because he was born in Africa, he thought he'd get a pass on that. I don't know the legality on stuff like that, but I know he's not black. And this call that he's made many times in his rap song and other times to free the Holy Land Five or expressing support for the Holy Land Five, I think this is a particular concern to me because this is not so much of a political statement, but actual, in my opinion, actual support for terrorists.
Yeah, he openly praised the Holy Land Five, who were convicted for funneling money to Hamas. Has anybody forgotten October 7th? I mean, these folks do not like Israel. They do not like Jewish people. Quite frankly, they do not like Americans. And Mamdani is a sympathizer to the Holy Land Five. His own words, not mine, not yours, right? And so this is who is literally going to be the mayor of the financial epicenter and an important homeland security city in our country. I would argue he hates America, that he's here to subvert America. And I, for one, am not going to stand by quietly and let this happen without at least using every legal mechanism at my disposal to bring attention to this.
Well, kudos to you for that. And Congressman, I would argue that every Marxist truly hates America and wants to destroy it, to rebuild it in their Marxist image. And I'm wondering, because some people have issue with Marxist Islamists or Marxist atheists. And I think the issue really stems from all of them being Marxists. Once you have that philosophy, you're all about the almighty state and the elimination of God and country. And I feel that is the problem. And would it be, I guess, outside the realm of reason to can we ban Marxism, right? Does that violate the First Amendment, or is that part of people's free speech?
Well, look, you can't fix stupid. You have a right to be stupid. But that being said, you don't have the right to lie in your naturalization form. You don't have a right to secure citizenship in this great nation illegally. And that's what this man apparently has done. That's why I referred it to DOJ. But look, again, I'm just going to go back to this. Joe Biden allowed our country to be invaded. And even previous to that, our immigration system was broken. The borders were porous. Thanks to President Trump, the border's secure. We're looking at mass deportations. And I quite frankly think we need to go back through every naturalization form over the last decade and make sure that everyone is here is here for the right reasons, that everyone here is actually a productive part of our country and our society and not a leech. And quite frankly, if you are, then you should be kicked out. And I think number one on that list is Zoran Mamdani. And again, I think it's clear based off of the forms. I literally have the two critical pages of the forms in my hand. He did not disclose material information that puts him in conflict, that puts his citizenship in conflict. He illegally obtained his naturalization, his path to citizenship, and I say we revoke it. And we send a clear message to everyone who wants to come to this country. Come here to be, think about the greatest generation. Think about all those people that came on the boat, who came past the Statue of Liberty. They looked up in awe, and they wanted to be here. They wanted to be part of the country. They wanted to build community. It wasn't perfect. Yes, it was messy, but it was a melting pot. That's what we stand for. But when you're coming here to undermine our nation, I, for one, have had enough, and it's time for him to go.
Congressman Andy Ogles, with 2 minutes to go before we take a pause, and then I have some other questions for you. But I wanted to, I guess, give a follow-up here, because this, the first point you made, I think, is also a poignant one with his affiliation with the Democrat Socialists of America. And your line of argument is through immigration law. But if we look at the Communist Control Act, do you think it's, again, a point that could be argued that part of what the Communist Control Act did was enforcing penalties and outlawing certain things like affiliates of the Communist Party USA and its front groups? Could we consider the DSA a modern-day front group?
Well, that's really a question for the Department of Justice, which is why I'm encouraging them, Pam Bondi, to take up this case, to take a look at it. And look, like I said, let's use whatever legal mechanisms are at our disposal to evaluate whether or not he truly should be a citizen. If his status in this country is truly legal, I would argue it is not. That being said, I'm not an immigration attorney, but I think there's enough evidence here to say that he willfully did not disclose material information that otherwise would have precluded him from being a citizen. Ergo, he wouldn't be running for mayor.
Outstanding. Congressman, stick with me, amigos. We're coming right back with Congressman Andy Ogles from the great state of Tennessee, and me, Rich Valdés. We're going to talk a little bit about the government shutdown and some illegal campaign contributions that are coming to light for Zoran Mamdani as well. Don't go anywhere.
The best guests, the best opinions. This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
This morning, New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani faces brutal backlash after accepting thousands of dollars in illegal foreign donations. Reports show his campaign received more than 170 contributions from addresses outside of the U.S., amounting to more than $13,000. Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa said it's very problematic, not just for Zoran Mamdani, but anybody who has these kinds of PACs, because it's a license to illegally funnel money. And foreign countries know you don't have to go to war against America. All you got to do is manipulate the election.
So this is the latest with Zoran Mamdani with foreign contributions. Our guest is Congressman Andy Ogles. Congressman, if you've got illegal contributions, I guess you'd be in a whole lot of hot water, no?
Well, there is a process for, of course, I'm at the federal level, he would be at the state, but, I think it's one of those you pointed out, you make sure, like if he's out there soliciting foreign contributions, that's one thing. If donations came in, they were deposited. all he has to do is return those donations, and he most likely, I think legally, can wash his hands of it. And quite frankly, and again, unless he was actually soliciting the donations, I think this is somewhat of a distraction to this bigger issue of, we know that he committed a crime when he filled out his naturalization forms. We know that could very well, if the DOJ were to pursue it, cause revoking of his citizenship status. Let's focus on that, because quite frankly, at this point, did he in fact actively solicit those foreign contributions? I don't know. I don't have the details of the case, but my guess is he'll refund those contributions and move on without any real legal consequence. But I don't know New York law and how strict they are with donations. But I guess to be determined.
Yeah. Well, and what I'll point out, that's a very good point you made. What I'll point out is that Eric Adams found himself in a world of hurt because of foreign donations, ending up getting indicted and everything. So you would think if you're running for mayor, that's one thing you want to steer clear of is those foreign donations. Now, I want to get your weigh in on the shutdown, because two different perspectives here. One is the court of public opinion, and the other one is what the pollsters are saying. The pollsters are saying Republicans aren't really taking a hit, so let it go on. But people are taking a hit, and we've got a quick clip on this snap. Listen to this.
Republicans are blaming Democrats for the suspension of SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. The Agriculture Department posted a message on its website saying Senate Democrats voted 12 times not to fund the food stamp program. But some Democrats, including Illinois' governor, say they blame the president.
Those are nutritional benefits, food that the Republicans are taking off the table because Donald Trump is unwilling to reopen the government, unwilling to sit down with Democrats. I mean, he's in control of the government. He should be willing to talk about it and work on it before those SNAP benefits are taken away.
This government shutdown is now the second longest one on record.
So that's the latest, the same back and forth we've been seeing. Hakeem Jeffries getting called out left and right, even by the media. I think he's running out of steam with his allies in the media. How much longer? And I know nobody has a crystal ball. My prediction has been, I think Democrats let this go up until President Trump can, on that 60th day where he can take some more permanent action and start firing people and issuing these reduction in force notices in masse. I think that's when they're going to, say, all right, enough is enough, no mas. Your thoughts?
Well, I think the kind of that public opinion, even CNN is reporting that the Republican brand is actually improved. And I guess that was the governor of Illinois that was talking about that Donald Trump is in control. Well, the governor of Illinois needs to take a civics class. We have a constitutional republic. We have different branches of government. The president certainly has a very large pulpit from which he speaks, but that at the end of the day, this Senate Senate Democrats are the ones who could very easily open the government back up. And the devil's in the details in the fact that this was a clean, short-term cigar. This is something that they voted on before and allowed the government to be funded. But this is about them holding hostage individuals who are most vulnerable because they are who they're choosing to fight for. Democrats, that is 2.5 million illegal immigrants who they want to put back on to Medicaid. And to do that, they're going to take benefits away from everyone else. They're going to have SNAP benefits, come to an end in just a few days. And, oh, by the way, one of the things they're wanting to do to fund some of this is to take money from some of your rural communities, rural health care, to fund health care for illegals in big blue cities. And so we are, we have been clear, Republicans in the House, we've been clear on our messaging that we are simply trying to fund the government to keep essential services going. We'll get back to the budget. We'll get back to regular order, but this is a short-term fix. But I think this is really reflective, quite frankly, of a larger problem the Democrats have. They're floundering. They don't have a message. They don't have real leadership. The president, the House, We're winning on them issue against them, issue after issue. When you look at redistricting, when you look at the numbers going into the midterms, we are going to crush the Democrats in the midterms, and they don't know what to do. And their two best, most popular candidates are AOC and Mamdani. I mean, the Democrat Party is literally dying before our very eyes, and they don't know how to resuscitate it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And my hope is that we can get a resolution, sooner rather than later, just because there's people out there that are in need. And the Democrats are literally extorting the American people. And, I made a lot of jokes about this early on because, it was just really affecting government workers that were going to get, their furlough paid to them eventually. But I think it's getting more serious. And I guess that those are the stakes that they were looking for. Now, the 5th District of Tennessee. Does that include parts of my favorite city, Nashville?
It does, as a matter of fact. So I have essentially the lower third of Nashville. So I don't quite go into downtown Nashville. So I don't have some of the kind of the tourist attractions there, but I've got the suburbs south of Nashville. Great city, beautiful city. This is where I grew up, and I love serving the people of Tennessee, but I've got a very compact district, but it's an amazing district indeed.
Yeah, we have a studio, Cumulus Media, Westwood One in Music City, and I was down there not too long ago. My nephew is a state patrol, state trooper for the state of Tennessee, and his graduation was earlier this year. So I was down there and I had a fantastic time, and I actually might go back this weekend. So that's why I was asking. Very good.
Well, next time you're in town, let me know. We'll have a coffee or beer, your choice. But that being said, kudos and congratulations to you said your nephew on joining the Highway Patrol.
Yeah, he did. He loves it too. He's doing a great job over there. Well, Congressman, I thank you. Definitely, I'm going to take you up on your offer. We're going to throw a few back, whether they're cafecitos or cervezas. Either way, I'm down for both.
That's right.
and keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it, brother. Godspeed to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless.
You bet. God bless. Amigos, we come back. Your thoughts, your calls, your opinions, and so much more. Did Zoran Mamdani do something bad by swearing his citizenship and not saying that he was a closeted commie? It is his campaign donations from foreign entities. Is this covert? Is there more to it than meets the eye? Should I put my tinfoil hat on or should I take it off and give him the benefit of the doubt? You let me know. 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdés.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés. Call now, 833-4-Valdés. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-Valdés. That's Valdés with an S.
Valdés, who again will do a fine job, and I know you'll enjoy listening to him.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
All right, America, welcome back. Your thoughts, your calls, your opinions. We go to the phones right now, 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdés. I want to go to our buddy Eduardo, calling us from Tampa, Florida, streaming the show tonight from his old stomping grounds in Chicago, Illinois. WLS in the building. Eduardo, go right ahead.
Yeah, Rich, another great show. Good evening.
Sir.
I saw the story where Jamaica sent out a help note out to President Trump. Maybe you can help out some way as far as the Hurricane 5 storm. You wouldn't have seen that sent out if they didn't think it was possible for him to send out help. And also, somebody like Governor Newsom, we can't forget on the other side of the coast, sent out that CDL for that illegal, and then they caused those tragic deaths in Florida.
My goodness.
Along with Mamdani, who should have been deported a long time ago, the Democratic Party is pro-criminal. I'm afraid to say it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been calling them
That's
pro-crime progressives.
Going into midterms.
There's a lot going on here. I mean, you've had a mouthful right there. The whole issue with the truck drivers, and it's just not one, it's multiple, right? There was the accident in Florida. Now you got the one in California. There's a bunch of guys on the road that are unable to pass this trucking test. And the only reason I guess it takes me by surprise is I don't know how to drive a truck. I know a bunch of guys that have a commercial driver's license, and I know that they had to do certain things and take certain courses. And, I'm not going to assume that if I knew how to use an air brake and where the clutch was on this thing, that I could drive one of those rigs. I don't presume that because I've never even tried. And I'm not saying that if you did it in another country, you can't do it here. I'm sure you can. I am saying that things are different here, right? When I go on vacation to other countries, I was once in the Dominican Republic. Beautiful place. Beautiful, right? My ex-wife is Dominican. And people fly. I mean, there are no rules. Even the cops, they would fly right past the cops. It wasn't a part of their culture to enforce speed, safety, traffic laws, that type of thing. They didn't have guardrails anywhere. Like on the curviest mountainous roads, I'm from Jersey. They put a guardrail on anything because our senator for like 50 years was Frank Lautenberg, and he was chair of the Transportation Committee in D.C. And guess what? He got money funneled into Jersey to make sure they put guardrails everywhere. There's a guardrail on every street, highway, you name it. There is a guardrail because he gave that contract to some guy who promised to create shovel-ready jobs, and that's how Democrats work in New Jersey and in many states. But the point is, I was just so shocked when I saw how people drove over there. And it's no surprise when people come here, part of their assimilation process is getting pulled over, learning the rules, say, hey, no, you can't just, go up the one way because you're in a rush. It doesn't work like that here. We actually have rules. And that is a wild concept for some people. And I just think when you get people who are driving these big rigs and either they're tired, they're overworked, underpaid, and they might be cutting corners because that's what they're used to back home. Well, now you've got a recipe for the disaster. And that seems to be what's going on, Eduardo.
Yeah, that's what's happening, yeah.
And it's a shame. Now, talk to me. What's your thought on this government shutdown? When do you think they open up again?
Well, no, I mean, like Joe Pags was saying on a previous show during the day, it's the Democrats that need to come to the table.
Of course.
because this thing is not going to end until December 31st, the benefits. So, they got time. Let's go. We got it. It's October 28th.
Yeah, listen, I know that some states are already getting ready to make those payments to their constituents, their citizens, residents, in lieu of getting the federal dollars. But most states aren't going to do that for an extended amount of time. I would bet most states are saying they're going to do it 1 month, and if it doesn't happen, then hey, you're on your own. And this is it's going to cause a political problem for a lot of people, but I think mainly for Democrats. And I don't want to trivialize things or politicize things because when it comes to poor people not getting food assistance, this is not the type of situation you want to play chicken with, right? These are people, people that have need and people that probably have small children or people that are elderly or people that are infirmed. And nobody should be playing games with these people, right? Nobody. Anyway, Eduardo, thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Folks, we come right back. The rest of your calls and more. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
All right, amigos, welcome back. It's Rich Valdés. We continue the conversation. And Bill Maher, remember Bill Maher? He's on late night and everything. I don't know if it's late night, but I think it is. Anyway, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, or 11 years ago, I don't know how to do math, back in 2014, 11 years ago, he was on with Charlie Rose and they were going at it about the differences between Islam and other religions. And I thought it was a fascinating conversation. Listen to this.
There are illiberal beliefs that are held by vast numbers of Muslim people that I don't think
vast number of Christians too.
No, that's not true. Not true. Vast numbers of Christians do not believe that if you leave the Christian religion, you should be killed for it. Vast numbers of Christians do not treat women as second-class citizens. Vast numbers of Christians
I agree with that.
do not believe that if you draw a picture of Jesus Christ, you should get killed for it. Most Muslim people in the world do condone violence just for what you think. They do. First of all, they say it. They shout it from the
vast majorities of Muslims.
Absolutely. There's a Pew poll of Egypt done a few years ago. 82%, I think it was, said stoning is the appropriate punishment for adultery. Over 80% thought death was the appropriate punishment for leaving the Muslim religion. I'm sure you know these things.
I know. Well, I do.
But I don't. That this religion is like other religions is just naive and plain wrong. It is not like other religions. The New York Times pointed out in an op-ed a couple of weeks ago that in Saudi Arabia, just since August 4th, I think it was, they have beheaded 19 people, most for non-violent crimes, including homosexuality.
They didn't got the hands off the thief.
Right. Okay. So we're upset that ISIS is beheading people, which we should be upset about. But Saudi Arabia does it, and they're our good friends because they have oil.
Right.
Okay? But they do it too. This is the center of the religion. But, I mean, in Mecca, where infidels, non-Muslims, are not even allowed in the holy parts of the city. I mean, right there, we don't have that example in other religions. Okay, they do behead people. Now, if they were beheading people in Vatican City, which is the equivalent of Mecca, don't you think there'd be a bigger outcry about it? So this is the soft bigotry of low expectations that we have with Muslim people.
Yeah.
When they do crazy things and believe crazy things, somehow it's just not talked about nearly as much.
When they do crazy things, it's not talked about not nearly as much. I think there's a lot of things that go under the radar. And I'm not talking specifically about radical Islamists or the radicalization of any particular religion, honestly. I find that when it comes to certain things, there is an incredibly high tolerance. And the topic we broached yesterday, I find it tough to swallow this one. The fact that they're killing Christians the way they are in Egypt, in Syria, in Nigeria, and over the years, I mean, every year there's like an Easter bombing somewhere. One of my favorite preachers from New Zealand, Bishop Mari, guy got stabbed in the eye while he was preaching. This stuff is, it's kind of like, oh yeah, just another day in Christendom. That can't really continue. I think Bill Maher's onto something here. Anyway, amigos, I will continue this conversation with the rest of you that are locked in on stations all around the country. For some of you, this is the end of the road. To you, I say hasta la próxima. Take care, good night. God bless you, America. I'm Rich Valdés.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdés, America's favorite late night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdés.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdés, Valdés with an S, at Rich Valdés on all of the social media. Welcome to another hour of the Tuesday night edition of the program. We're live and national, so get your calls in on our late night national town hall conversation. Excuse me. 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdés. And we're going to continue talking about the radicalization of America. And, of course, the biggest radical we can think of right now, Zoran Mamdani, right? If you didn't know his name, we're going to make sure you know his name. This guy is contending to become the mayor and of the city of New York, and he's in the running. Every poll out there has him in the lead. And this is, for many, surprising, right? A lot of people have a gut reaction to this, like, oh, right away you just want to insult every New Yorker. Well, we hate New York, and, that's their fault for allowing this to happen, right? Then there's others that think that, well, it's because New York is very transient, and you have a number of new, college-educated, college grads that came here for this purpose. And that's true, right? There are people that, grew up in the other 49 states and went to school and came specifically to New York to make this change in New York. And this is exactly how the left, the progressive left, got Colorado, a once very red state. They're doing the same thing in New York City, and that's how they do it. They start with an assembly seat. They move from there, right? They believe in incremental, what they call incrementalism, right? These small incremental changes. They're here for the long con. And always it is our freedom, right? Our let me be and mind your business attitude that bites us, right? We're like, look, we're just trying to make it, take a good vacation, earn a good living, just trying to do my thing here. And they are saying things like AOC says, like, how can I bring a child into this world if we only have 12 years left? Social, environmental, issues are going to end the world, so we can't have children, right? And this is AOC, now in her 30s, not a mother yet, and she's said it many times. It's because of her beliefs in, she doesn't think America's great. She thinks we have a big environmental problem, right? She's a true believer. Mamdani, same thing, true believer. So why? Well, this is what they do. They've dedicated themselves. And for years, I've had this argument, with people when they call and they go, what do we do? What do we do, Rich? What do we do? And the reality is, before Trump, I would always tell them, you got to get more involved. And they'd be like, but I'm retired. I work full time. I'm taking care of my grandkids. I'm doing this, that, and the other. And look, I'm not trying to make myself holier than thou in any way, right? I'm not running for office either, but there's more that can be done. And I say, look at Trump. You look at Trump and you look at Trump world. That's the type of commitment that America needs. And that's why that movement is so powerful, because he's attracted a lot of like-minded people that are willing to do everything they can. Doesn't mean you do what he does, but it means you do everything that you can do. And that is a big thing. So for some people, it's to be a keyboard warrior. Okay, great. Thank you for your service. For others, it's to go to a couple of people that they know that can afford to give $500 or whatever. I mean, you don't really need any specific amount of money to go and fill out the paperwork and start a political action committee, right? A PAC, and then get behind candidates and start bundling money for them, right? Everybody starts somewhere. You don't have to be a professional fundraiser to do those things. You just get it done and do it right. There's others that will become block captains on election day and will do it forever. There's others that'll work the signature book on election day. There's others that are going to phone bank like it's nobody's business. Thousands and thousands of calls. GOTV calls, getting out the vote, making sure people show up to vote, making sure people, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if they haven't voted yet, do they need a ride? Are we going to have somebody from the county committee go and pick them up? These are the things that win elections. You want to look at a well-run election, watch a Democrat in a big blue city. Just watch them carefully. This isn't, I'm coming with my mom's station wagon or minivan to give people a ride to the polls. This is, we've chartered multiple buses, and we're going to make sure that we're there. This is, they're doing everything to make sure that every senior and every senior citizen's home has voted absentee, because it might be difficult to get them to the polls. Nobody does get out to vote better than the Democrats. At least it used to be that way. Enter Scott Pressler, who I saw this weekend, by the way. He was in Jersey helping out Jack Ciattarelli. And you need people like that, people that are out there hitting the ground running. And we shouldn't think that we can't become those people or do what they do. We have to. You have to know that you are those people and you can do what they do. And if you like podcasting, do that. If you like making videos, do that. Whatever it is that you do it. If you do it for vainglory, you'll get those results. If you do it for the greater cause, you'll get those results. But ultimately, it's a all hands on deck type of affair. And again, I bring up Trump all the time because I think he's such a good example. This is a guy who's been sitting pretty for a very long time. This guy's had the size plane that you take to go on vacation, right? A jumbo jet, 747, 757. He's got his own. It has his name on it. He's got buildings, casinos, all sorts of stuff all over the world. He's got a castle in Turnberry in Scotland. I mean, Trump is that he doesn't need to do stuff. I've had the good fortune of going to Mar-a-Lago a couple of times. That's like a castle too. That place is gorgeous. Trump doesn't need any of this stuff. Now, I know some people are hook, line, and sinker. They bought into this idea. Oh, but he's an egomaniac. He wants to be the boss of everything. And even if that's true, which I don't think it is, but even if it was true that, he said, hey, I've done a lot in life. One more feather in my cap. I want to be president. Who cares? He's doing such a good job of it, right? Wouldn't you want somebody who's going to work that hard? I know I do. And the reality is I don't think he does it for that. It's not for vainglory for him. Not when your kids are dragged in front of feds and questioned for hours on end. When your attorneys, your friends, your colleagues. Does anybody remember the CFO of the Trump organization? They tried to put that man in jail. They locked him up. The way they treated that guy. This guy's a senior citizen. He's like almost 80 years old. I mean, the stuff they've done, his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, he's going to be 82. How dare they treat someone like this? Right? Somebody who's given their life of service, like America's mayor. All this because they hate Trump. So I understand when people don't get involved, why they don't get involved. Because some people, A, don't know how to fight back, B, don't have the ability to fight back like Trump does. I get that part too. But you have to remember that there are more of us than of them, I believe. Nationwide. In New York, not so much. In D.C., not so much. Right? I think we're outnumbered by the swamp in D.C. and we're outnumbered by the left in places like California and New York. But it doesn't mean it's unwinnable. It means you need a different strategy and you've got to go extra hard. Extra hard. And you may not get the result you want. Right? Like running 3 times to become mayor, Rudy Giuliani. But it means you have to have heart. You have to have courage. And you can't give up. Anyway, we're going to continue talking about what's going on in New York. Who's funding this Mamdani stuff? Is it really like Curtis Sliwa, who's getting these $5 donations from people all over the place? I know it's not. Just like Cuomo's getting money from big donors and Mamdani's getting money from big donors, dark money. This is how they do it. People with deep pockets and powerful interests, they get together, and it's almost like they do a casting for a candidate. Nothing like what you see with the Curtis Sliwa campaign. A guy who's lived in this city his whole life, spent 4 decades fighting crime, making the city safer, and working in media, doing a radio show, and gets to a point where he says, you know what, enough is enough. Before I have to hang up my beret one last time, I'm going to give whatever's left of me to this city that I love. So here he is in his early 70s, giving it a run. Reminds me of El Trompito, who did the same thing for his country. Those are the people that I can get behind. Those are the people that, whether I agree with everything they do or not, it becomes secondary, because I agree with where their heart is at. I agree with their intention. And that's just something you got to, hat tip to them, right? Hat tip to El Trompito. You know that he's doing this for America. He might use his bravado. He might use his business acumen. He might use his sharp wit to get there. But nonetheless, it's for America. It's for you. It's for me. It's for my kids. And for those grandkids that the Lord hasn't given me just yet. That's the America they inherit. And I'm grateful for somebody that's putting in that work like Trump. Grateful for somebody putting in that work like Curtis Sliwa. Anyway, straight ahead, we're going to talk about the funding of this Zoran Mamdani machine, what that looks like, what it's going to be for him, and what you need to know about it. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
By the way, your ratings are up. Congratulations. I had somebody. It's always nice to check. I like to see, even if they're friends, I like to see how are they doing. Are people listening, right?
That's
but
right.
You're doing great.
America at Night with Rich Valdés.
This morning, New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani faces brutal backlash after accepting thousands of dollars in illegal foreign donations. Reports show his campaign received more than 170 contributions from addresses outside of the U.S., amounting to more than $13,000. Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa said it's very problematic, not just for Zoran Mamdani, but anybody who has these kinds of PACs, because it's a license to illegally funnel money. And foreign countries know you don't have to go to war against America. All you got to do is manipulate the election.
So I want to get into the nuts and bolts of this, because there's a lot of people wondering, how did this guy come out of the woodwork and make such a good run against one of the most recognized names in the Democrat Party, Cuomo name. The brother was on CNN forever, and now he's on News Nation. The dad was a beloved governor in the state, and then Cuomo came, and he was, Andrew Cuomo, and he was not so beloved, but became very famous for being kind of infamous during COVID. And it makes you wonder, how did all this happen? Asra Nomani is back with us. She's the editor of the Pearl Project. She's an author and a journalist, and she's going to break down some of her research into what makes this Mamdani machine move. Asra, welcome back.
Oh, hey, Rich, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
This is your stomping ground, right? That you care about here? Yeah.
It's let me tell you, it's a concerning time, honestly is.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't come as a surprise to me, because I believe that the reach is further from the left, but they have to make a lot of noise because there's fewer of them.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine once taught me this term of the myth of the marching millions. We've seen it at all the protests. We've seen it, with all the hullabaloo created over Tesla and no kings and, efforts to try to shame and demonize Jews and Israel. And so it's this myth of the marching millions that they create with this idea, too, that this is grassroots. But, yeah, what I hope I can help the listeners see is what I've discovered, which is that It's as orchestrated as any political campaign. It's engineered, and there's big money behind it.
Yeah, and this is, I think, of big concern to a lot of people, great concern, because I think so often people wonder, how the heck is this happening? What is going on here? How does someone like Zoran Mamdani become a social media rock star? How does AOC become a social media rock star? And I think that part of it is performance art. You combine, the good acting skills or the entertainment value with a lot of people that are putting a lot of money in all the right places.
Yeah, and Mamdani was a kid, just like many, growing up in New York City, and he ended up going to one of the elite high schools in Manhattan, in New York, in Bronx, not in Manhattan, but in Bronx, and ends up going to an elite college, and that's where you can really see his radicalization express itself, because there in college, at Bowdoin College, he ends up starting the Students for Justice in Palestine organization. And it's just like every other term that we're going to run across related to Mamdani and this whole myth of the marching millions. They hijack words like justice. And in fact, this organization is one of the most rabidly anti-Israel and anti-Semitic organizations in the country. It's fueled many of the encampments and a lot of the hostilities against Jewish students from UCLA to Columbia. But that is where Mamdani begins his little ascension.
And this is interesting because he hasn't changed much, right? I think his anti-Semitic rhetoric is still there, and he kind of doubled down. He's doubling down on it right about now.
Yeah, that's what's really fascinating, is that behind that smile is a really angry person at these, concepts that the protesters over the last 2 years have tried to shame America about, like, being a colonial state and white supremacy ruling this nation, and
oppression,
oppression, and Israel participating in a genocide. And so the language is just repeat and rinse, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And what happened is, what I learned is that Mamdani just tapped right into that energy to rise to power.
Well, Asra, hang on right there. We're going to talk about what he happened upon and what type of energy he's using now when we return. Folks, are coming right back with Asra Nomani. She is the editor of the Pearl Project, and she's coming right back to tell us about her little expose on the Mamdani Money Machine in Fox News. Don't go anywhere. I'm Rich Valdés.
No hair, no care, and live on the air, it's Rich Valdés.
I think in the first question, there was this setting up of a context where this idea of hyper-local and international. And I think that for anyone to care about these issues, we have to make them hyper-local. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. Right? We have to make, not specifically that example all the time, but just to say that for working class people who have very little time, who have so many stresses, who are under so many pressures, there isn't that much time for symbolism. We have to make it materially connected to their life. And I think that what opportunity we have is that we are in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities to make clear the ways in which that struggle over there is tied to capital's interest over here.
That is Zoran Mamdani at the 2023 Democrat Socialists of America National Convention, saying, if the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. Asra Nomani, we left off with you telling us about the energy he has and more about the network that's funding this rhetoric.
Yeah, our first segment went so fast, so I'm going to dive right into it.
Sure.
So that clip is at a point at which Mamdani is now part of the New York political scene. He has graduated from college, and he joins the city council race in New York City, and there he gets a very lovely mentor by the name of Linda Sarsour. She's a Palestinian American, and it's summer of 2017, and she has held the Women's March already, protesting Donald Trump, made a name for herself, but now she's falling from grace because of a little problem called anti-Semitism. She, campaigns for the city councilman with Mamdani, and he's just, the perfect potential political star. So she has him join this Muslim Democratic Club of New York that she has started in order to get Muslims into political power in the state and in the city. And sure enough, soon enough, he runs for General Assembly in New York City, and he wins with the muscle of the Democratic Socialists of America and this new network that he's got with Linda Sarsour. He announces last year that he's going to be running for mayor, and who kicks in but this network? I call it the Mamdani Machine, and this machine has 110 organizations. 4 of them are self-declared socialist. Another dozens of them are, I call it the ethno-religious network, like Council on American Islamic Relations, the Islamic Circle of North America. A Muslim feminist like me knows these organizations really well because they actually do not practice progressive liberal values. They are regressive, they're anti-gay, they put women in basements and balconies in mosques because we're too sexy for our hair when we go into the mosque. If a man looks at us, he'll turn to stone. And who else do they have in this 110 group? But 76 Democratic Party affiliates, unions, a group called MoveOn.org, that was established to rally Democrats. And who is funding 2 of the major organizations that are in the Muslim? None other than George Soros and his Open Society Foundation, which has been, a real money part of this machine making. And so that is the reality we have today. It's not just this, the neighborhood aunties and uncles got together. This is a machine, a political machine, like we expect in most campaigns. He's just tried to have the pretense of being the, shucks, Muslim guy next door that's facing Islamophobia since September 11th,
right.
And we're now on the cusp of this, major election in which he may win.
This is, I got to tell you, it's very interesting to watch and somewhat scary, but somewhat kind of like, man, we are in over our head. At times I feel that way when I look at this and I think, man, we are looking at a situation I don't think we've been in before. We have been in the situation of having a communist before. I think Bill de Blasio was a pretty out-and-out communist. Did his vacation with Fidel Castro, right? His honeymoon. But Eric Adams was not too far different. It was very difficult for him to undo any of the policies that de Blasio had put in place. So he didn't do much, but he tried to make a little bit of an impact, but by no means was he a Republican. And what I think New York City really needs is a pro-law enforcement, pro-people, pro-safety Republican. And my hope is that we'll get one.
Well, that's not going to happen this election. We know that for sure. And so
I don't know it for sure.
Trump
I still have my fingers crossed.
Yeah, as Donald Trump said, he would prefer Cuomo over the so-called communists. But what I want everybody to also know is that this has been decades in the making. Mamdani is a manifestation of a machine that was been put in place since the 1980s in the United States, with folks, co-religionists from my Muslim community, who came here with a very different intention than my father, to spread political Islam. And that political Islam brings with it very troubling ideas, that inhibit people's free speech, women's rights, and the ability of the state of Israel to exist. Just that little thing. And so these organizations that are the alphabet soup of Mamdani's network have been entrenched in Northern Virginia, California, Seattle, New York City for decades now. They have expanded to create 501c4 political organizations and political action committees after spending decades as 501c3 or nonprofit organizations, getting the benefit of being tax-free, in the work that they do,
right,
while extorting this country for benefits that, really are not ones of assimilation, but really just demands. Like we demand that, that you allow this and that and the other thing. Like it's just just really things that are just too far. Like the taxi driver in Minnesota that says like you can't come into my taxi with alcohol, because I'm a Muslim, and so now I'm going to police my taxi and your ability to get a taxi. And just the most serious stuff, that's just very benign, really. But the most serious element of all of this is, I know the intentions is ultimately to destroy the state of Israel. Like I studied them so carefully, and that is what they are trying to go up against. AIPAC, that's their their buzzword, and that's what they're trying to create. And Mamdani is
I want to ask you a question. Jamal Bowman was this kind of radical progressive, and he basically ran his last election against AIPAC, and he lost spectacularly. Where is AIPAC now against Mamdani?
Well, I think that they are trying hard, along with many other people outside of even AIPAC circles who see the truth of what Mamdani is representing, And but I tell you, I went through the donor list myself, and he has a very diverse coalition of people with last names like Patel and Cohen, and he has pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes, and that's what everybody has to really study. That's why I hope go to my Twitter account if you're listening, and you'll see my article up there, easy to find, or just Google Mamdani and my name, Asra, A-S-R-A, and you'll find it. But I just want folks to be educated and enlightened about this national phenomena, because what is happening with Mamdani is happening in races all across the country now.
Yeah.
Mayor's races, the rent control races in Berkeley, school board races, because it's a machine, that's just trying to enter into our political space with a intention that I believe is very nefarious.
Asra Nomani, let everybody know how they can get to your Twitter and your website and all of that information.
Yeah, so my website is Asra, A-S-R-A, last name Nomani, N-O-M-A-N-I, and that's how you can find me on all social media, Asra Nomani. If you have a tip for me, I got my phone number up there, old school. You can email me, DM me, because everything I've been doing in journalism has been in the trenches, and everybody out there has got this dynamic happening in their communities. I just invite everyone to look around, see how the Democratic Socialists of America are expressing themselves in your community. How are they partnering with these Muslim establishment organizations in order to create this unholy alliance between the Red-Green Alliance, as I call it? It's not environmental. It's a upheaval of a lot of American values, and so I hope you'll all study this more.
Outstanding. Asra Nomani, I want to thank you for being here and bringing us up to speed.
You.
Crazy stuff that's going on. Hope to have you back soon. Good to hear from you.
Absolutely. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. God bless. Amigos, your thoughts, calls, opinions, and reactions to everything that's going on, straight ahead, 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
After the guest leaves every night and we're doing open phones, kind of at the heartbeat of America, and you sit there in this radio studio and suddenly you hear voices. Mobile, Dallas, New York, Miami. And there's kind of a conglomeration of America all in one room.
Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, welcome back. And, of course, to the phones we go. Let's see, where do we start? We're going to start off here with Al. Al is calling us from Arcadia, Florida, WENG. Al, go right ahead.
Rich, man, it's great to talk to you, brother. Dude, I'm Sliwa all the way, man. I love that he wears a red beret. I was in the 82nd Airborne. I was a paratrooper. We wear red berets. I feel like it's a great compliment to us. Now, you're right on with Mr. Mamdani. They haven't. None of the media have counter-examined this guy on his past. They've given a complete pass. And Uganda is an incredibly corrupt country. It used to be run by Idi Amin, and we know that his family came from money, and they were in bed with Idi Amin. That's a serious problem, and the media continues to ignore it. And I can't believe that Republicans are ignoring that as well. But anyway,
well, Republicans right now are too busy trying to get a Democrat, a former failed Democrat governor, elected as mayor instead of the Republican candidate. You're right. I can't believe them either.
You want me to give him an Andrew Cuomo impression? No, I won't do that, man. I'm telling you, Sliwa is the new Giuliani. There's only one fix for New York. It's Curtis Sliwa. I love this guy, man. He's awesome. So anyway, Rich, keep doing a great job, man. I love you guys. I love Curtis Sliwa. Go get him. Win this thing for America.
Amen. For America and for New York City. Al in Arcadia, Florida, thank you for the call and for the support. WENG in the building. Let us continue. David, Salina, Texas, KINA. Go right ahead. You're on with Rich Valdés.
Hey, Rich, thank you for taking my call. And actually, it's Salina, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas. It says Texas on
right
here. Okay.
In the middle of the country, yeah. Hey, it's so interesting that you mentioned Bill Maher and what he's been saying about Islam, and then you have Ms. Nomani on talking about Mamdani. I view what's happening in New York as exactly what's happened in London. Look at what happened in London. They elect Sadiq Khan as their mayor, disguised as multiculturalism, and look at the influx, the invasion of Islam that they're having into London. And it's not just happening in London either. It's happening all across Europe. That's going to happen to New York. And
listen, I got news for you, brother. That's already happened, past tense, in New York. It's happening all over the country. It happened in Dearborn, Michigan. There are so many big cities, small cities across America where this is happening. I would say that save the fact that people of A, decide to become Christians or B, decide to have 4, 5, 6 kids, I don't see how you prevent that from happening, because the safeguard against any other religion becoming the majority religion in the United States was always that Christianity was number one, and that people went to church on Sundays, And for years, people followed the Catholic method of birth control. They had as many kids as God gave them. And that is no longer a thing. People are now having a solid square 2 kids. That's it. And it's even worse now. I think there's a lot of people that only had 1. Some are like, hey, I never had kids. I hear that more now than I've ever heard it in my life from people my age, and I'm 47. People going, yeah, you know what? I never had kids. And guess what? If you never had kids and you don't raise your kids in church, then who is there to counter the culture that's changing when you've got people that are coming from other countries or even people that were born here? But their custom is to have a large family, to get married and stay married, and have many children. How do you prevent it, David?
Well, exactly as you say. I mean, you have to get the country back into order where you have a moral compass surrounded around Christianity. If you don't have that faith, you cannot have a moral compass at all, because we know Islam does not have a moral compass. I don't care what anybody says. You can call me Islamophobic. I don't care. When they sit there and beat and rape and murder their own wives because they don't cover their hair, that's not a moral compass. Christianity really is the true moral compass of the world, and that's what we need.
Yeah, well, listen, I think if for those of us that have enjoyed Western civilization the way we have, that appreciate our Christian faith and do not want to see this brand of Islam that has taken root in Paris, that has taken root in many parts of North Africa, in many parts of even Western Europe, London included, where they're militant, where there are sexual assaults, where there is a disregard for women. We're going to have a problem with that moving forward if we don't enforce. And again, it's not about enforcing a particular faith. This is about enforcing just existing law. And where they went wrong, I'd say, especially in London, where now it's, if they call it breaching the peace. If the video I saw, I didn't have time to get it on the air tonight, but it was a video of the cops telling them, now I'm reenacting the conversation between 2 cops and a person, a woman. And very quickly, the woman is wearing a Star of David. And they're saying, obviously, wearing a Star of David is going to kind of set some people off. Just imagine that, David. I'll be right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
All right, amigos, welcome back. It's Rich Valdés with an S. And I want to let you know that we're continuing the conversation in the next hour. There is still plenty more to come. I'm talking about the New Jersey race where the Congresswoman, Mikie Sherrill, she's suing because her opponent's saying bad things about her in an ad. The truth. She's the one that did the bad things. Anyway, amigos, hasta la próxima. Take care and God bless you. And stick around. More to come. I'm Rich Valdés.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdés, America's favorite late night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdés.
Good evening and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdés with an S, back for another hour with you guys. 7 minutes past the top of the hour. We're live and national Here's the phone number, 833-4825-337-8334 And I want to get into this headline. Listen to this. A truckload of aggressive research monkeys escaped a truck after the truck was in an accident in Mississippi. One of these monkeys is still on the loose. Now, earlier there were several on the loose. Some of them have been captured. Now, I know you're thinking, why are these monkeys aggressive? Well, the bigger question is, why are these monkeys infected? That's the reason they're aggressive. They have been infected with things like hepatitis and COVID. That's what a research monkey is. I didn't know that. So these monkeys are part of the, the clinical trial process. And this truck that was hauling these research monkeys from Tulane University in New Orleans, it flipped on a Mississippi highway, letting several of these large, aggressive monkeys go. After the wreck, which happened in a town called Heidelberg, multiple rhesus monkeys escaped into the community. And that's REHESUS, a rhesus. I hope I said that right. According to the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. The monkeys are approximately 40 pounds. They are aggressive to humans and require PPE, personal protective equipment, to handle. And the reason why? The animals carry hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID. Ain't that something? So just imagine, you see the monkey, and, if you're one of those people that was like in the Peace Corps, or, one of those girls that think everything's always okay, and they're like, oh, how cute, look at the monkey, oh my gosh, come here, monkey, Curious George, and and it bites your face off. Don't do that. Don't be a sangana. Be careful. These monkeys are aggressive. As of 4:30 today, they got all of them but one, and in order to get the monkeys, the police had to, quote-unquote, destroy them. That's the word in the article. I don't know if they shot them or what. But imagine that, right? You're a cop, you're showing up to work today, and they're like, listen, we got monkeys on the loose. Shoot to kill. Just wild stuff. Why? Why am I killing the monkey? The monkey has COVID, herpes, and hepatitis all at the same time. It makes you think this monkey is likely going to die anyway. He was really, really sick. Anyway, Tulane University says that the primates were used for other research organizations, and these primates in question belong to another entity and are not infectious, according to the university. So we'll see. The cops were the ones saying to use the PPE, so I don't know who doesn't have their story straight here. But this is pretty wild stuff. COVID-infected monkeys on the loose. And I guess COVID-infected, non-infectious monkeys. You can't make this crazy stuff up. And other stuff. Oh, you know what? There was another story I want to get into. Maybe I'll get to it towards the bottom of the hour here. Democrats voted again today in the Senate for a 13th time to say no to food stamps, no to poor people, and no to opening the government. The U.S. military has blown up 4 more drug boats. This time, the death toll has gone up, and they got 4 in one shot. This killed 14 alleged drug traffickers. All of this happened in the Eastern Pacific. I saw a post on social media today that indicated that President Maduro of Venezuela, about 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, was looking to make a deal with President Trump. After he said, come and get me, don't be a coward. He was, taunting Trump, and then Trump sent, like the Fifth Fleet or whatever down there, and voila, he got scared and he changed his tune. Well, now they've sent the USS Gerald Ford, and I believe he's still trying to make a deal, saying, look, we'll give you gold, we'll give you oil. What is it that you want? And Trump's not looking to make a deal. He's looking to get rid of this guy. And I think that's fantastic. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, look at that. Trump, the president of peace, the president of, all these peace deals. And then here he comes into this country and he wants to overthrow their government. I agree. I think we should overthrow that government. I think that we should allow them to have fair elections. Now, why do we have to go and get our nose in other people's business? Great question. Let me explain. Because the current regime that's there is selling all sorts of drugs and precursor chemicals and moving them into the interior of our country and into Mexico, and doing deals directly with Iran and China. So what does that mean? That means these are bad people. As Trump would say, these are bad hombres. So these bad hombres are, in effect, hurting America. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And you take out Venezuela, you open up the opportunity for Ms. Machado to run in a democratically elected capacity to lead that country, to bring it back to its wealth because of their natural resources with oil, to cut ties with Russia, China, Iran. Man, this is sounding better each time. So I think there's plenty of benefit, not to mention the Cuban regime likely falling at the hands of the Cubans, who will, I would imagine, take part in a color revolution. Timing seems right, like the Arab Spring. You'll see it all over the Caribbean. That would be fantastic. The only thing missing there would be for Puerto Rico to become a state. That would be some really good news. But anyway, that's what's going on there. Now, let me see. What else did I have here? Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, ordering the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, to launch strikes inside of Gaza after they violated the ceasefire. And that's a funny story. And I want to talk to you about something interesting about a name. What goes into a trade name, a stage name? There's a musical artist that is famous with his trade name, his stage name. And now that this person recently got divorced, there's a lot of question on, can he keep using that name? And I got to think, look, I don't use a stage name, but many people do. And imagine if you use the stage name, like let's say you're The Rock, right? Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And do you smell what The Rock is cooking? And imagine you're The Rock, and all of a sudden you get, married, God forbid, divorced, and your ex-spouse is now suing you, telling you, well, listen, you can't call yourself The Rock anymore because I got half of your name in the divorce. What? That is wild. Absolutely wild. I could not imagine something like that actually working, but that's a thing, and it's actually going on. I will bring you that story in a little bit, like I said, maybe right after the bottom of the hour. So I want to get your thoughts and opinions on everything that's going on, plus what's going on in New Jersey. Big governor's race in New Jersey, neck and neck in a statistical dead heat. You've got Mikie Sherrill. She's a woman. She's a Democrat from South Jersey running for governor. And you've got Jack Ciattarelli in his third run for governor. He's a state legislator, assemblyman, and a businessman. And I've got to tell you, I like Jack Ciattarelli a lot. I think he is the right guy for the job. It's my hope and my intention that Jack Ciattarelli will win and become the next governor of the state of New Jersey. And I think they're doing a good job with the campaign. But you've got the Sherrill people now suing. They're suing, I think, the radio station, actually. There's a radio ad. They're suing a radio station because they're saying they didn't like the ad and that it used AI. And instead of the radio company saying, hey, look, what's going on here? They just said, we're pulling the ad. Turns out it wasn't AI. So now what? Well, we're going to find out about that straight ahead. Keep it locked right here.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
I want to listen to you, Rich, all the time.
America at Night with Rich Valdés.
Washington politician Mikie Sherrill has a strange take on what's been going on in New Jersey lately. Here's Sherrill.
I am so proud to be standing here with Governor Murphy by my side with this great group of elected officials who have fought tooth and nail to make sure the rest of the country looks a little bit more like New Jersey.
But here's what Jersey women have to say.
A little bit more like Jersey, Sherrill? Does Sherrill know we have nearly the highest income and property taxes in the country and failing public schools?
Does Sherrill know we can barely pay our electricity bills thanks to Governor Phil Murphy? Sherrill says Murphy is doing a good job.
Mikie Sherrill's been in D.C. too long, but Jack Ciattarelli's a Jersey guy. Jack Ciattarelli knows our people, the serious problems Jersey faces, and the leadership we need to make New Jersey a better place. Elect Ciattarelli for governor. Back Jack.
Paid for by Jersey First.
So that right there is a campaign ad that was run by an organization called known as Jersey First for Jack Ciattarelli. And that cut that you heard of Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill, her people claimed that wasn't her, that it was some sort of AI representation of her, and therefore she made a whole radio chain stop playing it with a cease and desist letter. Well, it turns out it was her. And it was what good producers do in this business all the time. They try to minimize background noise. And I was floored when I saw this because that's how easy it is to just get somebody to stop playing an ad. And I never thought it would be that easy, honestly, because, shoot, when you do a political ad buy, you buy a whole lot of time, right, to play the same ad over and over and over. And I'm surprised that any radio company would just say, all right, you know what, without checking with our client who's paying for these ads, we're just going to pull these ads and not say anything. Well, that apparently is what happened, and I want to get the scoop, if I'm right or wrong on this, from Kevin Rooney. He's an author and investigative reporter for Restoration News. Kevin Rooney, welcome.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, really appreciate you having me on the show.
You bet. So I just set this up. Hopefully my facts were straight. Did I get anything wrong?
I know you explained that very well. There are federal and state laws that mitigate against the use of, false advertising to just make something up. And that's where the AI question comes in. But as you pointed out, AI was not used. There was technology used to get rid of background noise. And the Mikie Sherrill campaign sent a cease and desist letter to the radio station, the iHeartRadio, and they just rolled over and capitulated, which was particular. Usually stations have a little more spine than that. But unfortunately, the ad was pulled. And even though it seems like the latest is that the station may be backtracking, there's an opportunity cost because several days of advertising have already been lost. Right.
Well, how did all of this start? I know you've been tracking this story, and I'm just so curious to see, I can't believe it's an actual story. I can't believe that this is what the campaign is resorting to, trying to stop ads that of her that are actually her, saying it's not her.
Well, what's interesting, I think, is that she's running like a candidate who's behind. The whole point is as one of the folks who run Jersey First pointed out, is to prevent voters from getting to know what her real record is. Governor Murphy is not popular now. He's been in office for 2 terms. He almost lost the last election to Jack Ciattarelli, despite all the financial and structural advantages the Democrats have in New Jersey. And she's been trying to separate herself a little bit from the governor's failed policies. But the Ciattarelli campaign, I think it's been a pretty effective campaign. She's a member of Congress. She has a voting record. She's someone who can be exposed. But I just find it very interesting that her association with the incumbent Democrat governor is something that they saw as a real liability. So she clearly sees something in the polls that she doesn't like.
Yeah, when you're running away from your shadow, it makes it really difficult. And there's a reality here. She is a member of Congress from the New Jersey delegation. He is the sitting governor that has overseen not just, I'm going to say some crazy COVID policy, which he did, which I think people were sour about in the last election. But moreover, now you're talking about this dramatic, it's being reported as a approximately 20% increase in energy costs But I live in New Jersey. I can tell you it's a lot more than 20%. It seems like it's more like 30%. And I think that's, for many people, it's likely unsustainable, Kevin Rooney.
You really seized on something critically important. Energy prices have spiked at just the wrong time for the Democrats. And Governor Murphy and Mikie Sherrill have been trying to blame the multi-state grid operator. But, of course, as the grid operator pointed out, that's a supply and demand question. You have all these different green mandates that have been loading up the grid that covers 13 states, including New Jersey. And that's one of the reasons for the high energy prices that there's just rising demand for a whole set of reasons, and they don't have the capacity to keep up with it. Partly because Governor Murphy shut down different natural gas plants, all in the name of climate change activism.
Mm-hmm.
He has the state inside of the regional greenhouse gas initiative that is a multi-state carbon tax plan. That's a potent 1-2 punch. So you can really tie the energy prices back directly to the policies Governor Murphy has implemented, and that Mikie Sherrill has supported as a member of Congress.
Exactly.
That's part of what's happening. So it's not some natural process of osmosis. It's the result of public policy, and Jack has pledged to get out of Reggie on day one, which I think is really resonating with voters.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, you've got to be a special type of stupid to not realize you're spending more money on PSE&G, and I think nobody's ever liked them, right? They've always been too much money, and now they're way too much money. Now, Kevin Rooney, from what you're gathering while you're doing your reporting, what's the general consensus like? For me, I think it seems like everything is within the margin of error. The last couple of polls I saw showed I think she was ahead by 4 points, and it might have been a 3-point something margin. What are you seeing out there?
Well, recall that Chitterelli almost upset Governor Murphy in the last election, and every poll had Murphy up by like 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, of course.
So the polls tell you something, but something's happening out there. They were not accurate last time. Jersey is a funny state because most of the voters are unaffiliated, not actually with either party.
That's true, and they make every election the unaffiliated are the wild card. Kevin Rooney, stick with me. We're going to come right back. Got to take a quick pause right here. Folks are coming back with Kevin Rooney, author and investigative reporter, and he's given us the scoop on this Mikie Sherrill fiasco. She says it's AI, and it's really not. Don't go anywhere. It's Rich Valdés.
You have experience and skills in interviewing, or you wouldn't be on your program.
America at Night with Rich Valdés.
Democrat Mikie Sherrill greeting voters, SEIU union members, supporters who say in this election, democracy is on the line.
What is happening to this country is disgusting. We need rules and laws.
The rule of law is dissolved in Washington. I hope we keep it in New Jersey.
Emily Gollum came here decades ago from Cambodia. She's now a U.S. citizen, a worried one.
I fled my country, come here for a new life, and this is why I'm working so hard voting for Mikie, because he represents the USA that I know of.
Sherrill is hitting the road nearly every day leading up to the election, stopping briefly this Tuesday to work phone banks here in Bloomfield.
I have a plan to drive down energy costs, healthcare costs, housing costs, really drive affordability into the state at the state level, saving time and money by cutting through red tape at the state level.
Her Republican rival, Jack Chitterelli, appearing on Fox News this morning, saying he will move forward with a lawsuit against Sherrill. During their last debate, she suggested he is to blame for thousands of deaths after his medical publishing company downplayed the effects of opioids.
It's a baseless, reckless lie. I just got approval yesterday from the regulators that we can go ahead with our lawsuit immediately.
He tried to do a very Trumpian move by saying, I'm going to sue you if you talk about it. And then, I said, okay, he hasn't filed.
Both driving their platforms to drive voters to the polls in a race that is expected to be tight.
A win is a win is a win, and I believe we're going to come out victorious.
There you have it. That's the latest on what's going on. Mikie Sherrill's bus tour. Jack Ciattarelli also having a bus tour. He made a stop in Clifton, New Jersey on Saturday. I happened to be at a lunch with the Honorable Governor Jennifer Gonzalez Colon, the governor of Puerto Rico. We were in Teaneck, New Jersey, and when we wrapped up that lunch, we all headed over to Clifton, New Jersey for the bus stop with Jack Ciattarelli, where she gave him her endorsement, and lots of people from the Clifton Passaic area, Puerto Ricans and other Hispanics and other people from all over on deck, including Democrats that are part of the Sacco machine in Hudson County, New Jersey, that have now endorsed Ciattarelli. Definitely an interesting campaign season for sure. I want to bring our guest back in. He's joining us this evening. He is an investigative reporter, and his name, Kevin Rooney. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Now, we left off, you were making a couple of points about how it's difficult for Mikie Sherrill to disassociate herself from Phil Murphy when it is Democrats' policies that caused the increase in these energy bills, and people just don't like it.
They're all hooked in with the climate change cult, and they get donations from these big green environmental groups and all of these other groups that are trying to attack American domestic energy production. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is certainly part of that, but also Governor Murphy in particular is complicit in shutting down power stations and resisting the use of conventional energy, and it's just caught up with them. I would say, in some way, fortuitously for the Ciattarelli campaign, energy prices really began to spike sometime over the summer. They're talking about a 20% increase. In some cases, it's more than that. It's an increase that voters are feeling in their wallets, and it just further exacerbates a very challenging financial situation in New Jersey overall. Remember, before we got into the energy question, we already had the highest property taxes in the country. So That's a pretty potent 1-2 punch. The Democrats have been running New Jersey for the past few decades. Mikie Sherrill is a Washington, D.C. swamp creature. She's not even from New Jersey. She was born and raised in Virginia and has spent her years in Congress carrying the border for the Biden administration and marching in lockstep with what Governor Murphy's been trying to do in New Jersey. So, of course, she's trying to divorce herself from that record. But the polls show that the voters are becoming privy to the kind of damage she's really done.
And Kevin Rooney, do you think that this is going to have an effect like we've seen in the past, where you're going to see Republicans up and down the ticket elected, or is this a Jack Ciattarelli specific type of momentum?
I think more the former, and as he points out, when you go back to the last gubernatorial race, the party, and he made it very close. He only lost by 2 or 3 points despite being heavily outspent. And there were Republican gains across the state because he actually was an asset for the ticket. Now, the Republicans don't really have a chance of taking over the General Assembly in this election, but he can certainly lay a foundation to build on for the future. He's gotten the endorsements of a number of Democrat mayors and local Democrats. Democrats who have suffered under Murphy's policies, recognize it's getting harder to do business in New Jersey. So he's made some real inroads among not just registered Democrats, but also elected Democratic officials. I can only think of like one party crosser who has endorsed Mikie Sherrill. So Jack's making all the right moves. You're not going to win as a Republican without support from independents and Democrats in Jersey, but he's making inroads there.
Yeah, and that's for sure. I served in the administration of Governor Chris Christie, and he would not have gotten reelected but for several Democrat mayors that came across the aisle and said, hey, we're backing Governor Christie. And those local officials carry weight, and there's a gravitas that goes with that type of endorsement. Now, Kevin Rooney, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure. Prominent Democrats are getting behind Jack Ciattarelli. The financial situation in Jersey has just become untenable. There was a time when Jersey was actually an economic dynamo going back a few decades, but it's the byproduct of one-party rule and failed financial policies that voters are starting to feel. And I think Jack Ciattarelli has seized on all the right questions for voters.
Yeah, it's a funny thing when you take these Goldman Sachs guys and you let them run your state. It doesn't go very well, sadly. Kevin Rooney, I want you to let everybody know how they can learn more about your work. Where do they go to find more about you? How do they follow you online?
Well, you can go to my homepage, kevinmooney.info, which you can easily call up. And I'm an investigative reporter with Restoration News, part of Restoration of America. And also with the Daily Signal, which is affiliated with the Heritage Foundation. And we work with a variety of national platforms. So I do an awful lot of work, as you may have surmised, in the energy space, also labor and educational issues. So I stay focused on a few key areas.
Outstanding. Well, I'm looking forward to speaking with you again in the future. I appreciate you coming in and bringing us up to speed on what's going on in Jersey. Kevin Rooney, make sure you give him a follow. Check out his website, kevinmooney.info. Is it Mooney or Rooney? I'm sorry.
No, it's Mooney. Irish name.
There's a typo in my sheet. I've been calling you Rooney all night. Forgive me,
Oh,
America.
it's okay. It happens. Mooney, yeah.
Yeah, it's Mooney. Got it. Okay, and I'm glad I caught that because I'm looking at the website and it didn't match the name on my sheet. All right, Kevin Mooney, forgive me. And I want to thank you for being here. Looking forward to having you back on in the future. God bless.
Oh, likewise. Thanks so much for everything.
You bet. And amigos, your thoughts, your calls, and reactions are coming up straight ahead. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
And I'll tell you, Rich, people like you during the dark days of the 21, 22, 23, where you were a voice of life and strength to a lot of us.
America at Night with Rich Valdés.
All right, amigos, welcome back. It's Rich Valdés, Valdez with an S, at Rich Valdés on all of the social media. Give me a call, 833-482-5337 if you want to jump in on this combo. And right now I'm going to go to Charleston, South Carolina, WTMA. Larry, what say you, sir?
Okay. What I want to say to you, and thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
I want to say that I believe that this is an opportunity for President Trump to draw some parallels and dividing lines that say maybe we've gone too deep in on welfare statism until we've almost become communists in this nation. With the 40% of the people who say they're going to starve in America if they don't get food stamps from the government. Now, this guy Mamdani in New York provides a opportunity to point up to some of these problems. He wants to have free food for the people of New York City. Okay, and second, he wants to have free the young criminals from 17 to 21 from any criminal prosecutions.
Yeah, well, to be charged as a child, not as an adult.
That's right. He wants to have free housing for people and rent control. That's going to turn out to be interesting for New York City. He doesn't want any federal officers in New York City. Okay, 5, he wants to arrest Netanyahu. Politically a bad idea. And 6, he wants free transportation and buses to take people so they don't have to pay for going to wherever they want to. In all these areas, New York City has announced that they can pay for these things, and therefore federal assistance should be suspended for New York City. in all these areas.
Right. Well, and, you know, President Trump, Larry, has said that if Zoran Mamdani is elected, that he will freeze all the federal aid he can, and he'll keep him in court, you know, suing him to get any help. That alone should tell the people of New York, listen, if you want federal funding, don't vote for that guy. But listen, I get it. It's going to be a political fight. It's going to be a political battle. But I agree with you. I think President Trump is going to use every last bit of influence and leverage that he has in every situation, not just with Mamdani, I think in all of them. Now, the other stuff is, this is an idea that a lot of people find popular for a while, right? If you've never owned a business, if you've never been in a position where you have to pay a lot of taxes, then you can, especially in your youth, you can tend to gravitate towards these ideas. I once did a town hall when I worked in radio in New York City on a local station. And I remember I had a kid there. He was like 18 years old. And he said, I used to be a socialist. And my question to him was, what changed? And he said, I got a job. And when he got a job, he realized how much he had to pay in taxes and that nothing was really free. And, you know, these ideas sound so good in college, especially if you're not working while you're in college. And I think that's how they get into one's mind. But ultimately, you realize that there's a lot more to life than these utopian ideas.
Okay, can you express this to any politicians or people of eminence, like the congressman that you spoke to
many
tonight?
of them are listening, so you go right ahead and you express it.
Yes, but you have a bigger, stronger, and longer-lasting voice. And I hope you will say this, and actually, in this focal point, you could make quite a bit of importance because of where you're at and your ability to know the people who can talk to you.
Well, maybe. What's the point?
The point is that this is an opportunity to say, don't let this Islamic individual who has been lying to people all along about his status here and about his aunt and it's breaking his heart, and this whole ethos of crying for the victims, the victimology on America.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. Instead of talking about the people that were truly victimized by the Islamic terrorists on 9/11, he talks about the fallout, kind of ignoring the fact that nearly 3,000 people were murdered. He talks about how his aunt, faced some scrutiny for wearing a hijab. And I'm not trying to justify that, right? I don't think that's okay either. But I am saying, talk about, not seeing the forest through the trees, right? And being tone deaf. That's Mamdani for sure. Larry, Charleston, South Carolina, WTMA, thank you for the call. Amigos, I want to share with you this story about a musician who has a stage name that he's known globally by. And now there's a lawsuit in the United States District Court against his former spouse, seeking a declaratory judgment to confirm his sole right to the trademark to his stage name. And I mean, I think that's just crazy, right? I mean, it's wild. So I'm going to give you the scoop on that when we return. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdés.
Big song Gasolina by an artist named Daddy Yankee. And Daddy Yankee, probably the biggest reggaeton artist ever. And he, paving the way for artists like Bad Bunny in these days. But this story's not about that per se. It's really about what happened with Daddy Yankee. Because apparently Daddy Yankee's now involved in this lawsuit in the United States District Court in Puerto Rico, suing his former wife, who wants part of the trademark rights to his stage name, Daddy Yankee. His legal name is Ramon Ayala Rodriguez, but his fans know him as Daddy Yankee, or abbreviated as DY. And in this 18-page complaint, he is now arguing that she can't have ownership of his stage name. And I have to say, I totally agree. I think you can split the Ferraris and the homes and the money in the bank and all of that stuff. But how are you going to take this man's name? I mean, he is the artist, right? He came up with all of that, right? Imagine it's like if I get married and, I was given a nickname by the great one, Mark Levin, our liberty-loving Latino amigo. And let's say, my ex-wife now wants to take part of my moniker there. I mean, not that that's a big thing for me, but really? I mean, she's not your liberty-loving Latino amigo, right? So what would that, why would you do such a thing, right? I mean, of all the things you could take. Anyway, the lawsuit asked the court to confirm that Mr. Ayala Rodriguez legally owns and may use the trademark and to issue preliminary and permanent injunctions barring his ex-wife, from interfering in the use of that name. The filing says that blocking him from performing or promoting under the name Daddy Yankee or DY would cause irreparable harm to his career, his reputation, and his goodwill. Well, absolutely it would. Mr. Ayala, Daddy Yankee, said he never expected that it would be necessary to seek court intervention in order to ensure that in his personal capacity, he's free to use his artistic name for any and all legal purposes. Yeah, listen, I agree. I mean, come on. There's so many. Imagine Prince getting married and having a divorce, and then his wife saying, "Nope, I own half of the name Prince." That's insane. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. Hasta la próxima. Take care. Good night, and God bless you, America. And stick around. There's always more to come. I'm Rich Valdés.